All right, hey everyone, my name is Whitney Nelson. I'm the Community Relations Manager over at the Minnesota Alliance of Recovery Community Organizations, which is MARCO, and I'm with our Executive Director, Wendy Jones. And before we kick off Recovery Month campaign content, I really wanted to do a deep dive, get to know a little bit more about MARCO and about Wendy and your history in the recovery community and what has ultimately led you to your role with MARCO. So first things first, what's MARCO? What's MARCO? Let's start there.
What is MARCO? Good question.
Right?
Yeah. So MARCO is a statewide organization. It grew organically. It started with a few recovery community organizations around the state getting together for a monthly call and just trying to figure things out together. So it was really a community of practice at first. How can we help each other? What are you experiencing? Do you have a resource I can use? And over time, we started calling ourselves MARCO, the Minnesota Alliance of Recovery Community Organizations. So that was back in 2018, 2019, and I was the executive director of Minnesota Recovery Connection back then. And as things started to evolve in the state with peer recovery support services, more RCOs coming along, it became clear that we really needed a separate organization, a statewide organization that could have that big picture vision of grassroots recovery, of supporting community-based organizations, of really advocating for that no barriers, person-centered recovery in our communities. And so one entity that can kind of work with the state, but then also work with individual recovery community organizations and just raise awareness for the general public. So that's how MARCO kind of evolved. In 2022, I think it was, we filed to be like a real organization, the real deal.
Nonprofit status.
As opposed to, we're a work group that gets together. And then we did get a grant. And so in 2023, I left Minnesota Recovery Connection and became the executive director of MARCO. And yeah, since then, we have been working with organizations around the state, community-based organizations, really trying to support them for their technical needs, because it is really hard not only to run a nonprofit organization, but to run a recovery community organization. And RCOs are, or Recovery Community Organization, RCO is short for that, are really very specific. They're peer-run. They're led and governed by the recovery community. They have a no wrong door philosophy, low barrier. Anybody who needs support or help, no matter what pathway you want to follow, RCOs are there to help you and walk alongside you. They don't do clinical work, they don't do treatment, but they fill all those gaps and help people on their recovery journey.
No matter where someone is at in trying to either understand more about recovery, maybe they're really intrigued by this model and the examples that you're sharing, and where to start. And how does MARCO, and I know firsthand because this has been a part of the process in building the systems behind this, but how does our certification process help RCOs to not only learn more about what is required to be a true RCO, but also I really love the example of the driver's license sometimes, and folks thinking.
So that you bring up a good point. MARCO does provide a certification, and we're actually recognized in Minnesota law as the organization that certifies recovery community organizations. You have to be an RCO to get certified. So the analogy you were looking for there is like you have to know how to drive to get a driver's license.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have to actually be an operating RCO to get certified.
Right.
But just getting engaged with Marco and all the programs that we offer and learning about the certification process really helps you to understand what it means to be an RCO.
Right.
It's so much more than.
Well, and I think what's so cool about Marco is that we do both, right? We're there to meet folks where they're at who are already an RCO and are ready to move forward in the certification process, but then also meeting folks who are interested in becoming an RCO and providing that mentorship and technical support, like you said, and meeting them where they're at to walk alongside them to get to them to a place where they can be an established RCO.
Well, and the one thing that I'll say for anyone interested in what an RCO is, can we be an RCO? The very first thing is, who are you serving? What's your community? And I mean community really specifically, because true recovery grows out of the soil, that you're in, grows out of community. And that's what RCOs leverage is we're local. We know all the resources in this area. We have relationships with the county jail, with the emergency room, with the housing providers. So they really understand, and they're obligated to understand the needs of that community that they serve. So thinking about RCOs are a collaboration of people. They're connectors, they're community-based, and sometimes that can be even more specific. So not just geographic communities, but cultural communities. Because recovery is not a one-size-fits-all.
Yeah.
However we go through life, that's going to shape our experience with substance use disorder and recovery. Whether I'm a cisgendered white woman or I'm an East African immigrant or refugee. Like, these are conditions or experiences that are going to shape how the world treats us, how we may have entered into substance use disorder, and how we can find recovery from that. And so having those other community-based RCOs, I think, is really important too, because it's peer run.
Right.
Like, I've been there. I have firsthand experience, and I can help. I'm not going to do it for you.
Yeah.
But
wouldn't that be nice?
I know. Because recovery has to come from you, right? But I can walk alongside and help navigate and help, push a few barriers out of the way, because I've encountered that barrier myself, and it looks really specific because I'm in this community or in this culture. So.
Well, I think that keeps bringing me back to this point of access and inclusion, right? And this year's theme is recovery is everywhere across Minnesota for Recovery Month.
We're going to take a recovery road trip.
We're going on a recovery road trip.
We're going all over Minnesota.
Right? From St. Cloud.
Recovery,
Starting in St. Cloud for Rockin' Recovery with Recovery Community Network. And I think the full circle ending September over at Recovery Alliance Duluth. Up in Duluth.
You're going to St. Cloud and the Twin Cities and Mankato and Rochester and up to Duluth and Grand Rapids and, all over
Minnesota.
Everywhere. Yeah.
So with that theme and that message, and really the specific role that you see RCOs filling, like the gaps that we fill.
Yeah.
What makes us different or kind of special as a part of Recovery Month compared to any of the other providers out there too?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's in our mission. That is a core component of RCOs, is that they do public education and that they exist to change systems. They exist to reduce stigma and to build recovery ecosystems. So, some organizations, any organization that is advocating for recovery, great. Yeah, but it is unique to the RCO mission to have that strong community-based focus. And having all of them, the way that the Recovery Road Trip is kind of highlighting that this is all over the state, that is really powerful. powerful to model hope and to raise awareness and to let people know that this isn't something to be ashamed of. It's something to talk about, to celebrate, and to connect to resources. And that's the one thing like RCOs do really, they do many things really well, but this is one of them, is that no shame.
Yeah.
Like, we meet you where you are, no shame, and we want to celebrate the positive motion forward, even when there's bumps along the way.
Right.
We're not about looking at the back and beating ourselves up for all of the, our past lives in active addiction. That's a part of who we are, but it's about moving forward and becoming our true selves in recovery. And so RCOs is these connectors within communities that they bring together all different people, different pathways, different organizations. That's a really unique function of them. And nothing's more powerful than showcasing recovery, I think, in a really positive, inclusive way. Because they're not saying, oh, you need to be in AA or you need to be in smart recovery or, it's
One
great.
lane. Yeah, all of it. All of it's welcome. We just want you to be there.
If you're curious, if you haven't found recovery or you don't even know what that means, or you have a loved one or a family member and you want words to be able to talk about it with them. These events are places to go to really connect with people who aren't going to judge you and are just there to help.
Yeah, right. Well, with that being said, what would be the last thing you would say to someone out there who's maybe seeking resources or support or just feels awkward and doesn't know how to make the first move when it comes to Recovery Month and all these events? What would you say to them?
I'd say find an event near you.
Yep.
And just go.
Yep.
You will never find a more welcoming environment. No one's going to ask, why are you here?
Right.
They're just going to be like, hey, come on in. And no one's going to assume anything about you. You will be embraced. And I've been to recovery events around the state. Every single one of them brings tears to my eyes. Just because it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
People all of us who've been told for so long, you're less than, or you shouldn't be, and that's wrong. You go to these events and it's like, who cares? This is about
your freak flag
let your freak flag fly and talk to people and get connected to supportive resources.
Yeah.
And again, no one's going to shame you. Yeah. They're going to hug you, bring you in with permission, hugging.
Consensual hugging.
Consensual hugging. But I think that's why these events are so important too, because it's a low threshold, low barrier way just to go and engage and find out more and not have to make an appointment. I have to sign up for something. I have to,
take an assessment, get an intake form, whatever.
I'll say that stuff is hard.
Yeah.
And having been through that myself, I wish when I had found recovery that there was stuff like this.
Easy. Yeah.
There wasn't. And it was a really hard thing for me. I'll just say in the last century. when I entered recovery, that initial process really made me question if it was worth it at times. But this is so low barrier and friendly and welcoming. And what's the risk?
Right.
Just go.
Yeah. So you heard it from Wendy Jones, the ED of MARCO, the Minnesota Alliance of Recovery Community Organizations. Get out there, attend an event for Recovery Month this September. You can also check out marcomn.org to check out our event calendar, submit an event, see all the events this month. But yeah, thank you, Wendy.
Thank you, Whitney.
Yeah, a little bit more about MARCO.
I'm getting ready for my recovery road trip.
Yeah, recovery road trip. Recovery's everywhere across Minnesota.
Crank up the tunes. Get to my recovery event.